All right, welcome to your reading. Let's jump in. And where did your chart go? God, it disappeared. Okay, 1 moment. See, I have so many family readings to get done, and like synastry, one synastry. But like, actually, I guess it's only one family and one compatibility that's technically ahead of you, but I'm just not in the mood to. It's not even a mood thing. It's like I just don't have the energy to to do that right now. So nail charts for me, it's like second nature, you know. So Brittany, I'm just trying to. I thought it cleared your last name. Maybe I'll just save it as Britt. Why not? Okay, here we are. Lots of Scorpio. I better not bite my nails. I don't know why I said that. No, I know why. Scorpios just see everything. Okay, so yeah, during these readings, I like to share screen a lot. I go back and forth between showing my face and sharing screen. Sometimes I like be like laying back or like sitting like with crystals. It just helps me get into my intuition, not always being on camera. But yeah, back and forth. So let's go ahead and share it. Oh, and I forgot to start the timer. Okay, so let's go ahead, share screen. Okay. Let me get a little sipping of my kombucha. Hold on. All right. Let's get my water close to me. I just gotta drink a bunch of water during these readings for some reason. So yeah, Leo rising. Welcome to the club. A huge stellium down here in Scorpio in the 4th house, the house of Cancer. We got the Venus and Jupiter conjunction. Jupiter exactly on the IC. Wow. How nice of a childhood you must have had. I mean, we'll see what the rest of the astrology says. Sometimes I say that too early, then I'm like, oh, never mind. But man, are the nodes connected? No. Okay. So born basically like, you know, let's see, you're born at night. So yeah, there's a new moon on the 13th of or the 12th of November, 13th of November, the day your birthday. Earlier in the day though, way earlier in the day. Not way earlier, but yeah, earlier in the day there's a new moon, and then at night you were born. So, having the energy of a new moon in Scorpio, like, imagine if I was around back then doing my reports, or I guess I don't really do that many reports on new moons and full moons these days, but just imagine, like what would I say? Like what would I be talking about? Be interesting. It would be interesting. I mean, I would talk about how the main aspects are the square to Saturn that the moon and the sun has. I'd talk about how Pluto is right on the moon. Well, actually, the new moon chart would be it would be different. But regardless, yeah, Pluto, the sun and the moon are together, and are conjunct Pluto. That there's a bunch of energy in Scorpio, and it'd be like it was just like extremely scorpionic time. Jupiter and Venus together, and then Mercury also. Mercury exact conjunction with Venus. There's just so much going on, right? Like with all these. So, and then besides that, okay, well, what else is there? This is just like a whole, like, I mean, Leo rising in Scorpio chart. No, we got Mars barely. It's like 3 degrees Sag, it's nearly in Scorpio also. And so yeah, it's fire and water. We move up, we see the 7th house has Saturn in it. And yeah, there's pretty much like only Saturn is a singleton planet on the upper hemisphere of the chart. Right, you see everything is down here. You got Uranus and Neptune over here, Chiron in a second. So let us speak about this one of the most scorpionic charts I've ever seen. Well, first thing I would note is that when you're born on a new moon, you are coming in this lifetime karmically. I mean, a lot can be compared to the astrology of of that day, of that time, of that moment you were born. Right after a new moon. Like, just think about it. Like, I mean, I'm sure you follow my like different astrology accounts, my account, obviously. And and you probably feeling this energy yourself. In the time after the new moon, we feel it's a new chapter, right? It's a new chapter, and there's not really any rules. Like there's like everything is new. Like, you're not so held back by karma and by not to say this chart isn't karmic. I'm just saying that, like, new moons in general, it's new beginnings. Like, think about, like, by the time, like, it's ironic. It's not ironic. It's just interesting that we're literally, like, I'm recording this like right after the full moon. One second. Sorry, my mom. Okay, sorry. So yeah, like, as I was saying, you can imagine, like, in the time after like right now it's after a full moon, and the time after a new, after a new moon, or until a full moon, leading up to a full moon, right? There's so much that in the lunar cycle that is built up, right? You can even like metaphorically think of like the lunar cycle as being like a lifetime of its own, right? And the moon, it has it becomes full, and then it goes back to the moon phases to a new moon. And in that time, a lot is built up, just like in a lifetime, a lot is built up. So after that new moon happens, it's a feeling of release, a feeling of moving into a new cycle. So when I see in a natal chart, it's that same energy karmically, moving into a new cycle. Now, I'm a karmic astrologer. I look at the big picture, right? So I'm focused on trying to figure out, okay, what does it all mean? Why does it all connect in this way? Well, a huge indication is the nodes. The south node up here, you can see my cursor, in Gemini, in the 11th house, ruled by Mercury in Scorpio, and the north node in Sag in the 5th, right? So this represents the axis of growth, of growth of a soul, right? The south node representing the been there, done that, the sign and the house that just comes really easy to you. It's not a bad thing. It's more of just like, you've done that, right? So some people, or I haven't researched this myself. I like to speak on things I've researched, and that goes hand in hand with all your Scorpio placements. You'll probably appreciate that statement. But I like to speak about things that I've really like noticed a lot, But what I can say, because I can't like what my point is that I can't speak for like the entire population, but I imagine that people who aren't, like really like trying to grow and in their spirituality and whatever it is, it's not just spirituality, just growing as human beings. They might stay in their south node because it's kind of like the comfort zone, right? It's kind of the comfort zone. It's where things just are a little bit easier. So in Gemini, 11th house of Aquarius, and having no air in your chart in this lifetime, or Earth, there'd be a tendency to be a little bit narrow-minded, right? And kind of 11th house south node, like very like very like 11th house is like friends, it's like goals, but in this context I think it's like some like there's a tendency to kind of stay in your immediate surroundings, maybe not venture out as much as you might like, as you might otherwise, or as you're trying to in this lifetime. And yeah, just a tendency to really kind of because like Gemini can be very surface level. It's very adventurous, very kind of curious about life, and sometimes when you're doing so many different things, you can lose sight of the big picture, which is Sagittarius, which is the north node, which is like where you're trying to get with your Mars is right on your north node. So and I was just saying this yesterday in a reading about the zodiacal story, right? Just how you can go from Aries to Taurus all the way through all the signs, and it tells a archetypal story that is every human can connect with on some level, right? So when you get to the point of Scorpio, that's the point, you know, where you crossed from Virgo into Libra, which is like into the realm of relationships. And then in Libra, you are you feel that mirror, you get that mirror from other. And then in Scorpio is when you go within yourself, because you learn a lot about yourself from whatever, you know, from whatever relationship, whatever, you know, some water, whatever whatever like mirror you had from another individual or other individuals. And Scorpios were that deep introspective phase. So then after Scorpio, it's like that time, it's Plutonian, it's that time spent kind of like in your own underworld, right? Which it's not always that dark, right? But like it's like you understand more of your inner psychology. You have lots of like awareness that comes to you per se, right? Higher awareness. And you're able to then take all that deeper understanding of yourself, that deeper understanding of your shadow, integrating the shadow work, the death, rebirth, transformation that Scorpio is all about, and then move to Sagittarius. So that's kind of like this big passage in your lifetime with all this Scorpio, and then like the North Node and the Mars and Sag. Sag is about going out in the world and finding the truth that you want to subscribe to, which you then use to inform your dharma, you know, what's really important, you know. So for you, it's a clear quest of diving into the self, deep dive into the self, and then venturing out and finding these guiding philosophies, right? Finding these guiding truths, and yeah. So that's very, very prevalent in your chart. Now, when we backtrack and we see, okay, well, you know, the rising's Leo, which is fire, so that's, you know, I have Leo rising also. Makes the sun rule your chart. There's this big push, this more than big, this massive push in your chart towards that exact thing, that shadow work and understanding how things work at a deeper level. It's kind of like the investigator, right? The depths. So you're probably like the least surface level person ever. I mean, there's no way with all that Scorpio. And we'll break down each planet, don't worry. But yeah, so overall, and then the fourth house is Cancer, so you know, a lot to do with the childhood and family and stuff of that nature. And you have a 8-degree rising, so in Placid, so it would still be all in the fourth house, I believe. Maybe, yeah, pretty much all be in the fourth house, I imagine. Let me just see. 8. Yeah. So, you know, the rising is really like that fire part of you is really pushing you forward and more action oriented. Because if you just had all Scorpio, and if your rising was like, let's say, I don't know, in Pisces or something like that, or Cancer, you wouldn't have this part of you that wants to explore and that wants to like be social and that wants to experience tons in life. And yeah, so that complements your push towards Sagittarius. But okay, breaking it down, a Scorpio sun, I mean, like just Scorpio sun, like I don't really like to go into sun signs that deeply. But you know, Scorpio moon, you know, with that conjunction of Pluto is is it called a Hades moon? How close is the conjunction? It's 1 degree, like one and a half ish. So you'll be someone who, at a very young age, you know, you may have had a mother that was like and father, maybe both parents, who were somewhat interfering, perhaps, maybe overly protective. But like, there's so much family business in your chart. So much family business in your chart. Lots of intensity in that childhood. But it's interesting because Jupiter and Venus are the closest, and Mercury too, are the ones that are really close to the IC, which really rules the childhood. So these are very, very positive planets. When you have this conjunction of Jupiter and Venus, it is very supportive of like everything from like it's just very, it's like one of the most lucky, best transits you can have, like very, very good karma, right? Regardless of the sign. So typically it would speak of a childhood where you experienced lots of where you learned a lot. You're probably a very wise kid, born in, yeah, you're like literally born in 93, and so you're young, you're still young. And where's your Saturn? Your Saturn, okay, so you're going through the return, like literally, like what degree is Saturn at right now? '18. But yeah, you're in your Saturn return right now, so I'd highly recommend getting a like, with the follow-up, getting a current astrology /Saturn return reading, where I dive into what's happening for you right now. This is like the book of your life. That reading is I guess you could say, the current chapter, and it's very, very important to see like what the Saturn return chart's saying, and just you know, because it can be very, very tumultuous time. Tumultuous, but not necessarily bad. Like it's just a time where it's a coming of age. You know, it's where you truly, truly become an adult. But yeah, with that said, yeah, that conjunction's beautiful. So it's it's very interesting because this part is very positive, but then when we speak about this part, there's some darkness there. So I feel like I attract this type of client who is meant to sort of be like the one who breaks through cycles that have been in their family for quite some time. I swear, like I say in so many of my readings, and this is like clearer than anything, because like the fourth house, right, where all the Scorpio energy is the house of Cancer, and Cancer is, you know, is exactly that. It's the family, it's the roots, and ancestors. On a personal level, it's like, you know, your internal roots, your internal psychology, like where you come from, like within yourself, like how you live within yourself, your inner environment. And so I want to focus on the fact that the sun, Pluto, and the moon are all together. So the moon in Scorpio, people who have moon in Scorpio, they feel this like intensity of the world, right? Like at a young age, they feel this intensity of the world, and like they feel everything. It can be overwhelming. And when there's that square to Saturn also, right? Which right now, like I'm very curious to know like kind of how the Saturn turn is going and what themes are showing up, because you know, Saturn squaring, right, 90-degree angle this part of the chart, the sun, moon, these three, Scorpio, it will, you know, the moon in Scorpio already doesn't necessarily like to be so like vulnerable. Like it can be quite secretive. There's really an emotional need for no bullshit, for deep psychological analysis of the self and of others. It can be very, very intense emotionally. There can be lots of mood swings, and I wrote an article maybe like 2 months ago about like how in today's society it's a lot more difficult for a man to have this than it is for a woman typically, just because you know, women are more easily able to typically express their emotions, and having a Scorpio moon, you know, there's this deep need to be able to express yourself, express your darkness, express everything, and not feel like you have to hold back at all, right? Now I sense like this dual energy where like, because it's a conjunction, you know, it might not be like there's like a horrible relationship with the parents. It's kind of tricky, this one, right? Because there is the square with Saturn, but definitely like, you know, maybe like you may have just been like a very like, I don't know your parents' charts or anything, but you know, if they had energies that were like, let's say they had energies that were like not like, maybe they're like Geminis or kind of like air, Aquarius, like, you know, like Libra, like these kinds of energies, that don't really recognize that scorpionic depth, that would, you know, that could create lots of confusion between you and them. And what can happen is that they can feel this need to be overly protective and to, you know, with the square Saturn, there can be like some restriction, right? So some feeling of like on a solar level, like the true expression of your Scorpio kind of being held back, right? Because there's so much power there, and we have to talk about power. What I mean by that, so much power, and you know, if I'm correct, or I'm not like saying I'm not. That's not a guess of the parents, like just not understanding you, but you know, if you have all the Scorpio, you could literally be more wise as a kid than your parents, which can be super confusing. So that that square, especially to the moon, can make one just a little bit more like issues opening up. There can be issues with melancholy and depression, maybe like problems created that aren't really problems. They're just part of like your growth, because like people with this much Scorpio, they almost have to like go through really, really intense internal experiences at a young age, right? It's just kind of how it is. And sometimes that can be like, you know, it's like having a Ferrari. It's like being a Ferrari, but like not like, you know, it takes time, like, or a really wild but like powerful horse, but not necessarily knowing how to run it. So when I speak about you know, Scorpio, it's really like this whole death rebirth transformation, right? So that ego, that, and there's a big need for surrender. So hmm. Yeah, so there's a deep need when you have all that to really like dive into your own darkness, to dive into whatever, especially in the fourth house, whatever like is inherent in the family, but also separate yourself from it in a sense, right? And that's a big thing with a chart like this, is that, you know, if both parents are kind of trying to dictate like this consensus reality of how things should be, and how you should live your life, and this, that, and the third, it can be very difficult. Um, it can be very difficult. I'm just looking at something really quickly. Okay, so getting past that conditioning is like a huge part of the karma here, right? And the childhood and the earlier part of your life, they will always play a huge role in you, like, right? Like and having that much Scorpio, that much water, you'll always feel like, even as a Leo rising, which is so gregarious and outgoing, and, you know, this, that, and the third, there will be this need to kind of like jump into solitude, jump into I guess you could say, periods of time where you're able to kind of like be like regenerate and be within your own energy body and in peace and quiet, and really just like feel. And like Aries, like astrology, like the psychology, like anybody with this much Scorpio is like, whether they're a psychologist or not, they're naturally made for it, you know, because they understand more than anyone else, like all of the potentials of human behavior. And Scorpio is about research, right? It's about resources and delving deep into whatever it is, like if you find something you're interested in, right? Like just the Plutonian ability to just like go so deep into that. Even to it's like an obsessive manner, in some ways. And that can freak people out because it's just like it's so intense, like it's like my friend, she has a kid, and she will talk about how, and her kid has like a lot of Scorpio, and she'll talk about how her kid, who's like 5 or 6 or something, like a bit, I forget, how is he 6? He's like already asking like questions about like the meaning of life and things of that nature. So that's kind of what I sense, is that like if there's things, especially like in the family bloodline, ancestral bloodline, that were like kind of pushed away, you come in with all these questions, maybe questions that haven't been, no one's wanting to answer for a long, long time. And I feel like you're carrying this like torch, this like ancestral torch, which no pressure or anything, right? To really like really like change almost like the underpinning of like the whole family system. Like why like a random example, like why do we never say I love you? Why do people what, like why do the family members like not do whatever it is, why asking why about tons of things. And yeah, it can definitely be problematic, if there's members in the family who are less deep and less, who weren't willing to look at that themselves. Now, water. With going back to kind of the conjunction, right? There's this intense like this real karmic pull, because we talked about the South Node Gemini, right? So in past lives, like the cosmos, God, however, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, was made it very clear that in this lifetime there's gonna be no way that you're staying in that kind of Gemini realm, right? This is all about finding a deeper purpose, uh, going within yourself, experiencing the kind of shadowy parts of your own soul, of your own being. It's very like witchy energy in a good sense, right? And it's very intense. It's in the 4th house, so it's a little bit hidden. Although you're definitely a Scorpio, but like the Leo rising can make it so, like as I said before, so there's this kind of like this call to action, right? It's fixed fire. So it's like it can add some charm, add some kind of star quality, and some light, you know, some of that solar light, right? Because Scorpio can be quite dark and quite dim and quite serious. So to have Leo as your rising sign, it can also be problematic in the sense that people who don't really know you, like your outer personality, you know, will square by element. Like Leo squares Scorpio, right? Because they're completely different energies. So your ascendant, your outer personality, outgoing, fun, in touch with the inner child, want to make people smile, all the stuff about Leo rising, and also really feeling like you have this, like, Leo risings always feel like they have this very important kind of creative quest in this lifetime. So people might see you in, yeah, there can definitely be this like kind of misunderstood energy that can come up. 1 second. I gotta keep saying 1 second, but I'm trying to get comfortable here. So yeah, that's definitely something. Definitely something. Let me just stare at the chart for a second. This full moon in Aries above me. So it's like this mix of like ultra like on it kind of serious energy with this kind of fun adventurous spirit. Now, in short, as I laid out before, like what you're trying to do, so you have these three together, right? So you this is a stellium, right? It's 6-planet stellium. You have this part that's very like, you know, Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, which is very much like giving you amazing ability to kind of like sift through the unconscious of yourself, and you know, having Jupiter on the IC is a very nice placement, because even in like as a Scorpio moon, which can bring you to like very like high ups but also very low lows, it can ultimately like give you this like inner well of optimism where where like even in the darkest of times you're able to kind of like dig deep within yourself and find this like perspective on everything, which is amazing, right? And I think that combined with Venus, it really gives you this ability to handle that very important kind of ancestral torch passing type thing I've been kind of alluding to, right? Like the Jupiter gives you in Scorpio gives you this like this real psychic ability, right? This real like perspective on everything, on the people around you, on yourself, on your environment, on whatever it is. And the Venus there, Venus and Jupiter, as I said, it brings lots of luck. So, an ability to see like the brighter side of things. And then the Jupiter, the Mercury with the Venus in Scorpio, it's very nice because like on its own, Venus or like Scorpio energy is just it's a lot for people to handle. And when your Mercury, which is like how you speak, how you think, is in Scorpio, you have this very, very deep, probing mind. As I was kind of alluding to before, where you're really able to understand things, I guess, a little deeper than most people. And like the way that they work with each other is that the Venus, which is this harmonious energy, can make one very, how do you say? It can make one very think of my words. Like basically it can add like Venus to Mercury can add like a sort of sweetness, and then Jupiter to Mercury can add like a perspective, like even a broader perspective. Because Scorpio, what can happen is it can be very like very zoomed in, like very overly zoomed in on whatever it is, right? So and sometimes like and I can even give an example of like from the world of astrology. Like I've had readings from people who are like super Scorpio and Virgo, one in particular that I can think of, who had probably like 30 plus years of experience in astrology, but like that was probably the worst reading I've ever gotten. And I tell people about it. I never mention names or anything, but and what I noticed about her, knowing her, as a human and as an astrologer, is that she had this tendency to like dive too deep into like she didn't have this ability. And by the way, your chart, like these are some of the hardest charts to read, I swear. Like it's the ones that have like so much, like it's literally like right now I'm trying to solve this puzzle, right? So this, you never know. Like I don't want to say like this reading will be long, this will be short. I don't know, but the point is that like when there's so much in one sign, you can't just read it as like, oh, just a bunch of Scorpio. Like no, there's lots of nuances, right? Also with your sun is on Serpentis. Wow. So that would definitely add some darkness. So yeah, I can be like pretty confident that there's a lot of mixed energy in the childhood. Like maybe on one side, like you learned a lot, there's some pleasant times, but then there's also just like this, potentially like traumatic events that happened. Things that kind of, when you look back on it, made you who you are today, right? Um, And when I'm pausing, I'm literally staring at your chart with all my intensity. I don't have my crystals on me because they're charging. Maybe I should go grab one. I just got a new huge one today. I don't really buy them that often, but let it charge. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go grab it. This big amethyst. I just want to test it out. Oops. Okay, so wow. You know, having your sun conjunct, right? Serpentis, which is like kind of like it's like the darkest fixed star in Scorpio. It can really be difficult for someone. It can kind of bring a lot of like the more like the parts of Scorpio that the people talk about in a negative way. But it's not always like coming from you. Like a lot of times it can be coming from other, right? Um, I want to show you this crystal. It's a kind of hat. Kind of hurts though. Ow. See if I can keep it on my head. I like feel like it's breaking my head. Is there a natural slot for it? It's so bad. So heavy. Oh, that kind of is nice. Okay, let's see if I can balance this. Ow. Okay, we'll try. Just hold it. Oh my God, it is really powerful. So yeah, like basically like what I'm getting is that the childhood plays a huge role on your life. You're here to really like combat a lot of like the cycles and different stuff that's in your family, but then there's some issues, right? Because it's like, you know, one of them is like not having earth in the chart. Or air. And you know, having nearly everything in Scorpio. You know, it can make one, as I was saying with Serpentis, it can make one like overly obsessive, right? Like overly obsessive, especially when it comes to relationships, like with Saturn, the seventh house, which you're going through your return right now. A lot of people who had that, they don't necessarily have like they won't find like their most important relationships until around this time for you, like around the Saturn return. And Venus in Venus, but on the other hand, Venus in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter, which I didn't even finish talking about, like the conjunction with Mercury, but that will come. That will give you luck. And is there anything going on? No. That will give you luck with relation to relationships. I already feel the power of this crystal. So overall, what I would imagine would be a very mixed bag childhood. One where there were very positive elements, where you learned a lot. And maybe, you know, because like it does start at the start of the fourth house is very nice. So maybe the start of the childhood is very good. And then as we moved further out of it, it got more difficult. And yeah, Pluto's appearance there, with Jupiter, will, you know, and Venus will offset it a little bit, but still, like, you know, anyone with Pluto in the fourth, like it's like major upheavals, like lots of like a volcanic almost, early home environment, traumas, like I said, and they're like beneath the surface, right? And Scorpio, right? Its opposite sign is Taurus. And I talk a lot about like the axes and the opposite signs. You don't have anything in Taurus. I mean, you're midheaven, but you know, no planets. So sometimes people who have a lot of energy in one sign, they can like kind of go to the opposite sign, because the opposite sign represents like the same energy but the opposite manifestation. So with this much Scorpio, there can be this this desire to like almost like want things to stay the same. You know, that whole Taurus thing, like this stubbornness, right? This push away. So I think like a huge thing in your life is like this battle of like of you know, going in your own direction, right? And taking these very deep these risks, right? These risks that feel like deaths in themselves. And this is why people who have like a lot of eighth house, I'm an eighth house sun, by the way, and I'm very Scorpionic, Plutonian, so like I can totally resonate with you. You're way more than me, but still, as a soul, I'm very Scorpionic. Like your life, even you're born in 93, like I was expecting 83. So that in itself shows, you know, that you have like a certain level of soul maturity to take on such a heavy karma. Say that, right? But like overall, it's that those moments, not that moment, those moments of letting go, and surrendering and allowing yourself to change, because like as I was saying before, like those are prominent, those are huge. And I wonder if you live in the same place. This is another thing with Sagittarius. It's about Sagittarius, Mars. It will make that individual want to move, right? They'll want to like kind of dip out. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll want to like leave where they're from. And ow, fuck, it was not good. I'm just like trying to figure out how to use this crystal and put my hand in there and just scratch the shit out of me. There's all these black marks in there too. See if you can see it. I got the best deal ever. It was so lucky. I was like in Romania. I don't know if these like come from Romania or not, but like get them for like this should be like so much more expensive in America. But like I literally like from like the price that was on there, I literally had like it was only cash. I just randomly walked by it. It was like this stand. There's like this temporary stand in the park. This like festival is going on. And like I only had like 220. The price was 400, not like dollars in lei. And like literally like I didn't know that. I thought I had more, and I was like, oh shit, like sorry, so sorry. Like in Romania, I was like, all I have is 220, and I think the guy it was just kind of towards the end of the weekend. He'd probably been there like all weekend, and just wanted to sell this fucking thing. He's like, okay, whatever, you know. So I didn't even want to do it. I was willing to pay more. Like I negotiated down to 300 from 400, and then I ended up paying 220. So I don't know. That in dollars is like $50 probably for this. It's not bad, right? So yeah. But yeah, so as I was saying, like there like you'll outgrow people, you'll outgrow places, you'll look back on your life, and there'll be like these different eras that will be so like pronouncedly like just like they'll be so extremely different one from the other, like where you'll have like gone from like air, like you'll look back at yourself at different times in your life. And I know everyone can say this to some extent, but the Scorpio Plutonian more than anyone, because of that death rebirth transformation, that metamorphosis that happens. And you look back on, you're like, I feel like that was like an actor playing me. right? Like that's kind of how it goes. Like you literally feel like that was like an actor playing you. Because you change so much. And why I bring up like the moving thing, because like the North Node, Sagittarius is about travel, right? Mars and Sagittarius and North Node and Sagittarius is about experiencing different cultures, you know, getting out of like kind of like where you're from, like the immediate environment, the people you grew up with, because it's very likely that you would have outgrown those people or outgrown a lot of people that you kind of came up with per se, right? So you know, I've had clients who have lots of Scorpio, and when we have follow-ups, like I just had one like two weeks or yeah 2 weeks ago, and we talked for a long time. Very interesting guy from New York, and he we were talking about this exact thing about like how, you know, he's gone through this big transformation. I think he's around the same age as you, maybe 2 years younger. Yeah, very actually maybe a lot younger. I think he was like, I forget, but he was young. He's probably like 23 or something like that. And he really like found it difficult like still being in that same environment, you know, because like, and I know you're in Pomona, so you know like there's lots of different places you can live, like in LA, Orange County, like there's tons of areas, obviously. But and like yeah, people move around and stuff, so it's not like you're like in some like he was like in some like little part of like upstate New York, so it's a lot different. But yeah, like it can be very uncomfortable. I know it's easier for women to have like friend breakups, you know. Um, Men, it's like you know, I mean, it's like I've done it before. Like I just had no choice. I'm not gonna get into that story, but I really just like had to like, and he's still my friend today, but I had to like kind of be like, bro, like you're calling me like 4 times a day about some bullshit. I'm like getting in, like learning about like meditation and spirituality and astrology, and I'm like focused, you know. It was just weird. It was really uncomfortable to have to do that. But um you'll go through these major transformations that just take you to another level, another level, another level, another level. And the thing with Scorpio is Scorpio never lies. It's extremely loyal. As you know, there's this no bullshit energy. So like when I see it in the fourth house, I'm like, okay, well, and I haven't even gotten to like the psychological energy of the fourth house, right? I'm speaking like from really like I'm trying to like piece like in my mind like kind of piece parts of the puzzle together and then connect everything, right? So now I'm still arranging. Um, but yeah, like just like I just imagine this intensity, like maybe things were going really well in the childhood, and then like poof, some maybe it was like I wouldn't think it's a divorce, because a lot of times when it's a new moon, like it's sun and moon in the same sign, typically there's like an agreement between the parents, but like also Pluto's between the sun and the moon. So maybe there was some kind of big power struggle between the parents, and you know, the Pluto being closer, right, to the moon than to the sun. I mean, it would conjunct both. It could, yeah, like it could have created parents that were overbearing, where there was like, you know, trauma that you felt from both parents, but with the mother in particular, there's definitely this deep need to kind of remove yourself, like if she had like any like really like um you know, deep psychological shit, as I'll call it, right? Like kind of just you know what I mean when I say that, just deep psychological stuff that she didn't want to deal with, pushed away, all that, you know, you might kind of have clung on to it and taken it as your own. um so there's a huge need, like when I see the Sagittarius, I'm like, this person probably needs to like get out of like where they're from, or like find a way to like kind of get into like a life of their own, and escape kind of, you know, where they're from, and start a new life, one that's more true to like their evolutionary stage. You know, that's extremely important. You know, the whole thing, like the people you surround yourself with, whatever, it's like the 5 people you surround yourself with have the biggest influence on you. And even if you like are very scorpionic, which can be very like reclusive and this, that, and the third. I just realized I can use this as like a cup for water. That'd be interesting. I definitely need to clean it. That could be like a major thing for you, right? And with the South Node in Gemini in 11th house, though, there can be lots of pushback and lots of internal feelings of guilt, especially because Scorpio is so loyal, of leaving people behind. So then it's like this thing between like people, places, all that, between like your higher self and the need to like continue growing and to continue like the spiritual journey and this journey towards Sagittarian truth, versus the Gemini 11th house of like kind of just like staying back and staying kind of like in the here and now and like the same old. But like the thing about staying in your South Node is that it's comfortable, but it's like the growth isn't there. And I was talking earlier about like the Taurus opposition, how Taurus opposes is Scorpio, and how like there could be some of that energy of stagnancy that could show up. But like for you, it's really important with all that Scorpio to just push away from that and to really be brave. And a lot of that courage comes from things like this, like psychology, like healing, like diving into your intuition, right? Like it's very, very important to dive into your emotions, 4th house, your childhood, and really understand it all. Journal it, all that stuff. Get in touch with your intuition, because what I sense is that like with this energy, you may have been like, and where's your Chiron is over there in Virgo, yeah. So like you may have felt like your way of thinking, your way of seeing the world, your view, if it wasn't supported, was wrong. There's something wrong about the way you thought, which in Virgo can create that kind of pain around that. So yeah, very, very important to have boundaries. And the Leo rising part, and this is what I'm getting to. You see how this is like a complicated chart. I'm just telling you. So the Leo rising part would probably like be difficult. I alluded to this earlier, because it might give like those people like the wrong impression about you. Like if you're so in your Leo rising, which I'm a Leo rising also, so it's like I know what it's like. They might not see that depth. And when is a Scorpio moon, there is a conjunct Pluto. It's not that you want to transform. It's not that you want to be this like this very deep spiritual, psychologically in tuned person that whose life purpose is so revolving around or that revolves so much around kind of growth in general and transformation, and allowing parts of themselves to die, and even allowing like people, places, and things, hobbies, environments, people to be let go. There can be a huge gap, right? And good thing Scorpio is a strong energy, so it does have that Martian power, that psychological power to, and this is where I get into my discussion about power, to overpower people. And so this is what's so important with your chart, because like when there is this conjunction, you will have very intense moods, right? Like mood swings. I talked about that before. A very dramatic, emotional life, feeling things so deeply. So like, let's say you have like an Aquarius, like triple Aquarius mother who like says something, it might affect you so deeply, and then she might like forget about it or something like that, and it can be very hard to control like your reactions and like just the moods in general, especially when you're in like the dark moods, right? But your intuition, like learning to follow your intuition, is like the key to everything, right? And that comes with work. It's like a muscle. And Yeah. So like when you're in like in a dark mood, this is what I'm getting to. You can become like very overwhelmed. There can be paranoia, fear, like feeling like, and maybe rightfully so, the others are like trying to control you. But there can also be the opposite, where it's like this power struggle back and forth, and it might start with like the mother, like the childhood, whatever, power struggles, and then it goes to like friendships and relationships, right? The manipulation, the lying, intimidation, like all these like lower scorpionic themes or tendencies, right? And yeah, so like people who have this tend to like learn how to be very emotionally manipulative. They naturally know how to do that, right? So it's about, with power, it's about, where do you find your power? Do you find your power from money, from, your alliances with powerful people or powerful, um, you know, anything powerful, right? Like that you attach yourself to, that you like from the ego, basically. Um, or do you find it within yourself, right? Which goes back to the Chiron in the second house, which is about in the opposite sign of Taurus, of Scorpio Taurus, right? Which is, when I see this mentioned one planet, I intuitively think what's the opposite sign, right? Because it can really help. High Taurus is about finding this ground, which you don't have Earth in your chart, so it's like you're gonna have to work like consciously, and consciously have like a work ethic towards this, to have that grounding within yourself, like whether it's like by really setting up like a solid routine for yourself, right? Doing things that like diet, um, exercise, meditation, right? Um, Laying out the steps that it takes for you to get to a certain goal, right? And the more deep psychological analysis, the more healing, deep soul healing. Like, you've come in this life and you're like, your energy's like, I'm taking on so much fucking karma. Like I'm gonna fucking like handle I'm gonna handle so much. And I wanna message you on Instagram really quickly, just to tell you I'm doing the reading, and that it took a little bit, or that it took a little bit for me to get going on this one, because it was a very hard. On, where are you? I wrote down your, where are you? Followers. BOBA. Oh, there you are. Gotcha. Okay, not looking at any photos. Right, literally messaging you, and you'll see me doing this in the video. But I think the first 40 minutes or so were a bit slow, with a snail emoji, but I'm getting there. And we'll send you the link when done. Smiley face. Okay, I think you were messaging me on a different account on my backup, so I need to save you into my folder of. Okay. Good, good, good. So yeah, so yeah, like the whole emotional manipulation thing, as I was saying, right? Like I talked about, like if the mother was like very like overbearing, manipulative herself, like you would learn those kind of controlling behaviors, and you'll have to like learn to undo those, right? Which goes hand in hand with this this like how it relates to like you healing the family line, the family bloodline, right? So it's so super complicated and interesting. And but also the fact that all this energy is in the fourth. So this is like the difficult part is like fourth house is the home. So people who have their moon in the fourth house, like they don't necessarily want to move that far from home. They're happy at home, you know, like where they come from. They have a very deep attachment to their childhood, even if the mother was like, you know, did wasn't perfect. Like there's still love and everything, you know, there's still that deep love, right? So yeah, but with that, you know, there like with all Scorpio comes this like amazing like regenerative power. Like nothing can keep a Scorpio down, as you know, right? um so yeah, it's all about like really using like whatever psychological techniques or things like astrology or, you know, meditation and dream work, past life regressions, whatever it is, to just go deeply into like buried memories and feelings and feel them. And that is, you know, really what helps with the Taurus. Yeah, it's like I said, like finding that balance and finding that home within yourself. And yeah, like like you're powerful, like you have very powerful emotions, you know, like very powerful subconscious emotions, and you're capable of amazing things with that, like especially in this realm that I'm in, you know, like you'd be like an ideal student for me, which I do one-on-one astrology classes. I don't tell everyone about it though, like a very private man when it comes to that. I don't really advertise it. It's on my site though. And yeah, with the sun one, like I said, like they're similar but different. Like you know, either way, like very intense human being, very deep. The Leo rising, I did cheat a little bit. I saw one photo of you at EDC. I didn't look at your face. I just saw that you were EDC and felt the energy of like the Leo, um, which is great. You know, I fucking love electronic music, and it's my shit. It's my favorite thing. You probably know that if you follow me. Um, but yeah, so like with the Pluto and Sun, it makes it so like there's like these very powerful forces that act on your life, right? You can wield great power and influence. So this is like people who have this like can be like politicians, like just very powerful people, right? Um, but like yeah, very like tons of like very dramatic and life changing like relationships, events, outer forces, fate that just come in. And remember, it's on Sun conjunct Serpentis. Let me search that up. So this is Unu Unukalai. I'll never be able to fucking pronounce it, but you know, it's a very benevolent and cruel energy. But of course, you know, it's you know more important like if it's like with the ascendant midheaven. But let's see how How close is it? Let me pop up. And how far long have I gone? Jesus, it's gonna be a long one. Let's see how close it is. I fucking can't see anything because there's so many stars. Okay, I'm literally like trying to see. So 20. Wow, it's like stuck on it. It's right on it. So yeah, I mean like, so death can play a huge role, like in your life, right? As a Scorpio, in metaphoric or physical death, I'm not saying like your family's gonna die, no, nothing like that. But like it's like um there could be like many, many disappointments that come. And I want to find this other source. Here it is. Yeah. So one of the great things though is that like this and algal, people are very scared of them, but it gives great wisdom in the esoteric, and it can be very like you have to watch out for like like drugs and alcohol. Like there's a big risk of like intoxication. Doesn't mean you're like going to be a drug addict, but you're very sensitive to these, right? So it's important to like really be careful with like what you put in your body. And yeah, it's very hypnotic. Like it can like really like it like already Scorpio has that effect, but it can like just really draw people into you, you know? But yeah, it's associated with violence and poisoning. Um, it can be like kind of radical in its views sometimes, very nonconformist, renegade energy. I'm just like trying to find. So let's see. Where we at? Where we at? So keywords: rich, successful, thieving, cunning, lying, scheming, glamorous, criminal tendencies, rule breakers, duckers and divers, forgers, fraudsters, cheeky. So there's, you see how there's so many. I'm not gonna read it. There's so many: anti-drugs versus drug addicts, controversy, activists, bohemians, feminists, protesters, eccentrics, mad hatters, shocking deaths, mysterious illnesses, recluses, codependent relationships. You see all how there's like so much like Christian versus agnostic. Like it's so like fatal attraction, poison fumes, intoxicating, toxic love, crimes of passion, black humor, satire, forged tongue, drunken outbursts, speeches, spin doctors, selling yourself, prostitution, adoption, abduction, domestic violence. These ones are bad. Wife beaters, pacifists. You know, see, it's like literally like either like it's like an extreme, right? It's narcissists, um, divas. Like there's so much. Let's see if there's anything about like the sun. So it says many quarrels and disappointments, unfortunate life, seriously affected by death of family and friends. The list below seems to show people who have had very traumatic lives, often coming with conflict, blah, blah, blah. A number of their deaths have been violent or shocking, true to this nature. Heiress Barbara Houghton must have had the most unfortunate life ever. Despite inheriting a huge fortune, she died with only a few thousand in her name. I know two people with sun stelliums on which you do on Unukale. Very rich, successful art director who likes to drink and has gone through a very bitter divorce. The one with Sun Mercury Neptune is a violent alcoholic and cocaine addict who beats his wife while pregnant. So you see how it's like like you have to really watch out. Like I keep seeing like killed by smoke inhalation in training, like an astronaut. It's like very strong energy. It's just like Charles Manson incited people to murder on his behalf. Joseph McCartney, notorious for spreading the fear of communism. Neil Young, outspoken. You see, Neil Young, outspoken environmentalist. Prince Charles, unpopular after death of Diana. So yeah, like you kind of see how, and I've read in different places how it can be like very, very good or very, very like it's just like high risk, high reward. And the more you lean into like spirituality and like to the higher end of the Scorpio, the better off you are. Yeah, okay. Back to like the Sun and Pluto, like very super ambitious, great willpower, and just projecting yourself in a very strong manner. That others might be like freaked out, like just this very deep penetrating nature, right? I guess I posted this thing yesterday on my story, like this repost. It was like, if you want to know someone's lying, just like stop talking, just like stare at them in the eyes for 2 seconds, you'll know. It's like, and I wrote my thing. I was like, Scorpio, I forget. It was like Scorpio and risings and Capricorns, like, but really what I should have said was just like super Scorpio people, like 1,000%. Okay, this speaks to also like valuing your own privacy. You know, like you can make other people suspicious of you. You can be like accused of things that like you didn't do at times. You make the best spy, psychic, like mastermind, like planner, someone who can really like a chess player type of energy, reading people. And yet really like leaving a mark on people around you. The people like very like one-on-one when it comes to like relationships and stuff like that, right? But very effective leader. So all it is it's coming in touch, like I said a million times, with the darker side of your life, but that will come naturally to you. And you have to watch out, like I said, watch out for the self-destructive behaviors and those ruthless power struggles and the whole manipulation thing. But yeah, it's really like when you're faced with this more like difficult side of Pluto, this like the dark side of Pluto, that willpower comes through, and that's when you have that great ability. It's almost like you're pushed to like be in this really like dark place so that you can then transform your life. I wouldn't be surprised if you had struggles with addiction. I had struggles with addiction. It's in my book, Pisces Live 9 Lives, available on Amazon. It's not a book about only me. It's like only the first 2 chapters are about my life, and then everything else is just like what I consider the most important mystical teachings. It's not an astrology book. It's an amazing book. One day it will get the recognition it deserves. But I should probably actually talk about it. But yeah, like when you're faced like extreme challenges for survival, that's when you like your big evolutionary leap occurs. Like I just thought of like when I was in rehab, like how being kind of quite scorpionic myself, like I took that like that like I had like I just did it. I just didn't hang out with anyone. I mean, I had like I just like literally like I was like I'm doing this. It's over, and I did it. And while like I mean I was never on like heroin or like anything like crazy. I was just like started doing Xanax. I couldn't hit because it's a long story. Basically, like I used to smoke weed, and the weed started giving me like schizophrenia, like paranoia, and I had all these issues, all this anxiety, heartbroken from my first girlfriend, and I like found Xanax, and then I just like got like was drinking and partying so much, and I started using for hangovers, and I got addicted to it, and then Xanax addictions can kill you, so I had seizures, and it was all fucking crazy, and then just got out of control with like shit just kept piling up and piling up because I kept creating more and more and more karma, like, and yeah, then it hit a breaking point, and that's kind of like the Plutonian process. Sometimes it takes great eruptions, like, and I always talk about it because like my brother is like the opposite of me. He's like all Capricorn, Taurus, like Cancer, like very just like kind of like here and here, while me it's like I went all the way here, like fucking like you have no idea how much fucking destruction I caused. I mean, to myself and like I made some horrible mistakes. Nothing evil or bad, just stupid shit. Definitely, yeah, bad to me. But like it led me to here. Not that I'm here now, but just like you know, like sometimes it does take those really intense experiences to bring us to like where we're meant to be. And like yeah, like so the whole archetype like starting over, starting from the ground up, but being a Scorpio, you have those resources to do that, to transform. So soul evolution is like the key. And the rebirthing. And that leads to greater self-esteem when you're able to like get off like from you know wherever you're at, get up and just move forward, you know. Yeah, there can be all kinds of shit like stalking, people stop like it's either like you doing it to them or them doing it to you, you know. Like dark sin, like really, but really being in touch with like the dark and like more sinister underground kind of parts of life, right? So yeah. Um and like I was saying before, like when those setbacks do happen, like how I just was talking about how like when I went through that time in my life, like and I had to live in like sober fucking living, you know. I'm like such a private person. Like I hate fucking like I live. I don't even like I don't share rooms with anyone ever. I'm like I need my own space. Like I live with my girlfriend. She has her room. I have my room. You know, like that's how it always will be for me. I don't like sharing my room. Like that's not me. I had to like live in a room with this other guy and like it would switch up. It was like but like I still just stuck to myself, you know. It's like following a setback, like you know, you'll go into this really, and I was like meditating while everyone else was like kind of just like chilling and hanging out together. Like I was like, no, I'm doing this shit seriously. I was like journaling and meditating and like really like getting deep, you know. Um and yeah, so it's like following like setbacks, you go through like the withdrawal into your own self, the self-analysis, and that's when those like that superpower, that super Scorpio power, the self-recuperativeness comes in. And that's where the resurrection, the rebirth. So you're understanding this theme I'm trying to push, right? And that's often done. It's often like a spiritual, like there's an innate spiritual quality to it, right? So like the occult is a great place. Psychology, the occult, this is like where you can really find that power and that understanding, right? Um, and it's like yeah, it's not that much longer after like a defeat or journey to the quote unquote underworld that your potency returns. Like you can't like you just keep, you know, like keep, you know, nothing brings the Scorpio down, as I said. um and yeah, self-respect, selflessness, and finding that power within, that power within can actually like lead to fame. Like people, like I said, with Sun and Pluto, they can have fame. It's an indicator of it. Or prominence, or at least very least be like a very good leader. Okay, move these stars out of the way. So yeah, you understand like kind of like that. So then, as I was saying, you know, with the North Node in Sag, like you know, fifth house, like it's connected to your ascendant Leo. You're really trying to like be in touch with your inner child, which is so, you know, key to your inner healing journey. Um, you know, you're trying to create your own destiny in this life and not be like swayed by other people. And really like learn that self-discipline, which is like from that missing earth element, to build like a very like creative life for yourself that's very unique to you. And really like in Sagittarius, like having that one pointed vision, you know, towards like universal truth and finding truth, whether it's to like different cultures, whether traveling physically or traveling metaphorically. This would be right now traveling metaphorically, right? Because like in the past life, there's like that tendency to fill life with so many people, so many activities that don't really have that much depth. Um, and also like feeling like a certain level of conflict in your decisions. So it's really like yeah, about developing a sense towards like a higher vision, a higher direction. I feel probably that you're really coming into that with your Saturn return. Um, And yeah, Mars and Sag, you know, like, no, okay, yeah, Mars and Sag, 5th house. I mean, that gives you a strong creative drive to, like, there's a huge drive in your chart to express yourself creatively. So having like a creative outlet would be like the best possible thing for all that Scorpio energy to be just like pushed into that 5th house. Also, it makes one very competitive, and yeah, great for leadership. Mars and Sag, you know, great teachers, someone who wants to explore and adventure, and yeah, it really helps you to kind of like have the Mars on the North Node from a Western astrology standpoint, in that it's giving you like this this push forward. Mars is like that masculine push forward towards that life purpose. So it's mixing Leo and Sag. So the Leo rising, you know, like having that big creative purpose. It's like, how can you channel Scorpio and Sag together? Well, I already told you. After you've done the whole Scorpio difficult part, it's about, you know, once you've gotten used to like taking those really deep risks within yourself, then it's not that hard to take them like outside. So yeah. Okay. That was a lot of Scorpio stuff. Let's see. And yeah, with the squares, you know, like I said, you know, that's getting easier now. That's what you're dealing with now, and that's just like emotional, like I said, emotional vulnerability being difficult. And then also with the sun, like just feeling like you take one step forward, 2 steps back, then 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and like all these setbacks coming up throughout your life that just get so frustrating. It makes you sometimes just want to say fuck it. But the good news is that your Saturn return, and a lot of that is just going bye bye. And then you're still like left with that amazing determination. It's very Capricornian, right? A Capricorn, like having to deal with like all these setbacks, and then the energy goes away, and you're like, oh shit, I still have like this power and this determination, but like I don't have all this fucked up shit that keeps coming up, especially in the realm of relationships we're gonna get into next. So, okay, what kind of relationship is perfect for you? Well, any Moon in Scorpio needs to be able to express their full like emotions or full darkness, full everything with the person they're with. But they'll definitely like probably want someone who, you know, can be like that solid rock for them, because they can be so swinging back and forth. So they'll definitely, you know, maybe like more like someone who's more consistent. But then you, as a Leo rising, of course, you know, your personality will match what better with someone who, and is a Sag North Node and Mars, who, you know, has that sense of adventure within themselves too, but also who has that sense of they don't have to be going through as intense of a time as you, but they definitely have to be understanding and empathetic, um, and able to kind of ground you, like when you are going through it, you know, when the moods are swinging. But the best way to deal with it is to find different means to kind of like I guess ground yourself, and yeah. And yeah, so yes, like I said, Saturn in the 7th house, like definitely someone who will find their more meaningful relationships after the Saturn return. There can be fear of commitment in relationships, you know, feeling overwhelmed by one-on-one relationships, and you know, you tend to learn a lot through them, right? And also Saturn Aquarius makes one really good at being able to work in groups, and you know, more like innovative, original types of groups, which comes easy with the South Node in the 11th house. So yeah, a lot of your chart is down there. Then Neptune and Uranus in the 6th. Okay, so I have Uranus in the 6th, and then it's 5:20 a.m. and like my girlfriend just started school, so like it's kind of weird because she's gonna wake up at like what, like 6:30. She has to be there at 8, and I'm like still need to eat and shit. So like it just gives like really like unusual, like in midheaven in Taurus, like you'll want to like kind of like have like a lot of stability when it comes to your dharma, your professional life. I have that same midheaven because you have the same ascendant. But yeah, like Neptune sixth house, you know, you'll definitely like to be of service through your work. And when if you're like in like a shitty job that you hate, like it's gonna be very, very hard for you. You'll definitely like to like have like your daily work, even if it like for example, if you're like working, I have a crystal in my hand, like if you're really into crystals and you were working in a crystal shop and like it was like paying you less, but you felt like better doing it. In the meantime, you were working on like, you know, something you're really passionate about, whether like let's say you're like really into writing or researching something or getting into astrology. Um, that would be better, or something that like gives you like the ability to kind of create your own schedule. Because yeah, Neptune sixth house, it's like gives someone like a lot of difficulty coping with like that everyday life. And it gives someone also the ability to really be of service to other people. There can also be like health problems or allergies as like a child. Very mysterious health problems. Like they come, you're like, what the fuck is it? The doctors don't even know what it is, and then it just goes away. I've had that before. Like my eye used to like I used to have this weird eye twitch. Like I'd be like this all the time, and then just like I don't just stopped. It happened for like a year, like probably 2 years, some shit. And yeah, Uranus sixth house, like just approaching daily life in an unusual way. You know, having like a maybe different type of routine, like I do, where I do all my work at night, or most of it. And yeah, like also like pets, you know, you can have a very good, like lots of healing energy from pets. Maybe a kind of unusual relationship with pets, like me with my 3 baby cats. Here, Mika, what are you doing? I'll give you a little cat vision. Esme, say hi. Mika, psst, psst, psst. Mika, what are you doing back there? You find a bug or something? Mika, Mika. She doesn't want to look. She Aries. There she is. Aries. She's a lot of Scorpio in her chart. So you saw those Scorpio eyes. The Scorpio rising and moon. So yeah. Then you know, of course, Palace, 7,000 Aquarius. So that can give like a brilliant mind, very like original, insightful, like really able to grasp ideas very, very quickly, and then apply them to your future plans. Very humanitarian. Seventh house Palace. And Palace is like the wisdom secrets from the 4 main asteroids. Um, it just gives you like lots. It's very good for like psychology, like counseling. Like you really have lots of wisdom about how people relate to each other. Um, but then also you can have difficulty, like the Saturn said, with sharing your emotions with your partner. But that should be getting easier around this time. So back to partnership, you know, like Moon Scorpio, like they need to be able to express like all their emotions and not feel judged by it. Like there's certain signs that just will not work with the Moon Scorpio, like signs that lack, like people whose charts lack depth, lack like an understanding, like you know the kind of people who are like when you're just like going through it and like they're like just like it's all in your head, you know, that kind of shit. Those types of people, not good. People who understand that, like, you know, who understand pain, you know, who understand that like that it's not just always gonna be consistent. Um, yeah, and then like yeah, I just feel like at some point, you know, like you could have felt like your sense of like power and assertiveness could have been eroded, pushed back in some way. Um, and yeah, just like being able to like finding the healer within yourself, like you know, Chiron second house can be like around like financial insecurity, um, you know, poor self-esteem early in life, and like it's all about like once again searching for self-worth like within instead of without. And yeah, and Virgo, as I said, like there's a very strong link between your emotional problems and your physical health. So that's like why like the whole like routine thing and like really staying on top of that is super important for you. You can fear, you might fear emotions. So like leaning into them is very important. Health and healing, all that stuff. Being of service to humanity, super important. So you could be like made to be like a healer, and you could receive money for it. Second house. Okay, so Vesta in the 8th house in Pisces. So Vesta is kind of like the keeper of the flame, right? So in the 8th house, it just like gives you this commitment to like discovering the mysteries of life, the occult, esoteric, metaphysical truths, teaching others about them, and yeah, like moving beyond the superficial. It comes very easily. And then Pisces, it's like you work best when you're like helping humanity in some type of way. You're committed to making the world a better place for sure. And like you, like I said earlier with the Neptune, you can feel really overwhelmed by your daily work like routine if you're like working some shitty job that you have no connection to, unless there's some connection to be like being of service to it. Like it's very important that exists. Now Ceres, which is in the 9th house in Aries, Black Moon Lilith is also there. So it's kind of like a second moon, but obviously not as important as the moon. So the moon is in Scorpio, and then the Ceres is in Aries. So you really feel cared for when people allow you to be independent. And then, yeah, and also you believe like the best way to like care for other people is to let them be themselves, and you don't want to feel like, even though you do have like this really like Venus in Scorpio is like very like two souls becoming one. Very, it's like that in relationships. You still don't want to feel like caged in and dominated in relationships and just in general. And you nurture yourself in the 9th house by acquiring knowledge of the world, Sagittarius, right? Through travel, study, whatever, foreign cultures, philosophy, and yeah, you look after others by how you like can teach them and share your knowledge and wisdom with them. And then Juno, finally, the one that speaks a lot about love and like your ideal partner, 3rd house Libra, definitely you'll want like a partnership that's very equal, very balanced, very harmonious, peaceful. And yeah, that's just very important. In 3rd house, it's really important to have like very solid communication with intimate partners. Yeah. So yeah. Protects 5th Sag, once again, your doorway to higher awareness is through. Interesting, that's on my moon. So like there's like a very big synchronicity. Vertex is very faded. You'll, come to people who kind of have these energies like during times of need. Well, it's more anti-vertex, but still vertex is still very faded. So just like the doorway to higher awareness for you is through that higher knowledge, through traveling, through taking these risks, the adventurous life, and also through love and through the heart chakra, through creativity, through the inner child. Very linked to like that whole North Node journey, right? So Black Moon Lilith in Aries, that's kind of like the darker side of your personality that you gotta know about or can take over. So yeah, a lot of times people in the 9th house, Black Moon Lilith can feel at odds with like what society expects from them. especially when it comes to like religion and stuff like that, and the overall philosophies will be quite different than like what, you know, like it makes one very rebellious in that kind of way and really want to find their own, which I think is a good thing. Yeah, it's all about like agreeing to disagree and in holding to your unique approach and not like kind of pushing that on to other people. And Aries, like that one, especially all the Scorpio, you might not be like aware, like it can kind of be like at the lowest, like kind of bully energy. Like you might not be aware of like the impact that your behavior has around, like on those around you. Like overly asserting yourself. And you know, just all like always need to get your way, being a little bit like stubborn, stuff like that, right? So it's all about like, you know, and when you look at your Mars, like, yeah, it's in Sag. So it's like it's kind of like not being willing to kind of like being like so like being like watching out like the shadow is like watching out for being like overly dogmatic essentially, you know, and like my truth is the truth. I'm not willing to like talk and say anything like even like you know, talk about any potential. Aside from that, you have lots of like nice aspects, you know, Venus and Jupiter, luck and love, luck and money, luck and love. You know, the Venus and the Mercury gives like a smoothness in communication, a real skill with speaking and with the arts as well, where you're able to connect to your intuition very deeply, and speak in a way that's speak about very deep subjects in very smooth ways. Moon, Mars, you know, oh, I didn't see that. I don't count that one. It's different signs, but okay. And then Sun, you know, it has all these nice aspects. So you know, you'll have like a very like unique kind of approach to life, you know, into spirituality and just like your persona of who you are will not be linked to anything that's like conditioned. And you know, Mercury conjunct Jupiter is very good for intelligence. Gives a very large perspective of mind that can dive deep into anything, but also see the big picture, which is amazing. And yeah, and then Chiron's, yeah. Okay, yeah, over here, and then the nodes and squares, Chiron. So yeah, like just like there definitely are some like past life wounds around self-esteem and potentially around, yeah, like finding the worth like within instead of without. And now you see how everything connects. Midheaven in Taurus, you know, you want something that you know, you want money in some sense, but not it's not like it's not that like superficial. It's like you want to like be doing something that is grounding to you, like the work you want it to be like grounding to you and feeding to your ideals. Okay, then let's look for anything big. We already saw that. Ooh, so Lilith, the asteroid is conjunct your moon with Pluto. That's like very like I think of that's like the woman that just does not take shit from anyone. You know, like the very it can be associated with feminism a lot. Like yeah, who's very very strong willed. He doesn't take shit. You know, and like yeah. And I literally like have so many asteroids I can't even see. But okay, here's one. No, I have the asteroid Fetix. I added to my list because my cat's name is Fetix. Should probably delete that one because I literally can't. I'm having trouble seeing all these. Okay. So Fortuna on the Descendant, you know, like that I think would give lots of luck and love. Luck and love. Eros there too. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that like when the Saturn return comes, like, you know, there's some real positive energy in that area of life. But you gotta wait for it. You have to wait for it. And let's see here. Ascendant, I think. Part of fortune in Leo, literally saying like your greatest fortune comes, you know, when you're independent, self-sufficient, taking like, you know, having like that spiritual relationship with yourself. That's like what brings you the most joy. And in Leo, you know, when you're just diving into your creativity, or in your flow state is when you're diving into your own creativity, and really fully maximizing like that creative purpose that you feel and that you know is so important to you. Let's see, did I go over 2 hours? Nope. So that's about it. Thank you so much. Let me know about I think you got the follow-up, so let me know about that. Like I said, I highly suggest doing if you're going through your Saturn return, so I highly suggest doing the dual reading. Usually like I'll give you like a big reduction. I can tell you right now actually what my normal price is and what I would charge you, because basically the first like when we mix those two readings together, or like the follow-up with the current, it's an amazing thing. Hold on. The first hour is, yeah, it's a follow-up. We talk about this, you already pay for it, and the other one, so the one that I have plus Saturn return is for 312. I would do it for 230 extra. It's a big reduction there. And it's on sale for 312. So yeah, that one would be a combined over 3 hours. Because we do this, yeah, 3 hours. For, you know, the first one that's an hour, and the other one that's 2 hours plus Saturn return. Like it could be like, yeah, like a long reading, but I record it and I send it to you privately. So no one obviously sees it besides you. You're only you and whoever you might want to get. If like just whoever, only people who have the link can use it. So yeah. Anyways, thank you so much, and hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you later. Ciao.